One of the most common problems that athletes at all levels come to us with is performance anxiety or feeling anxious before a game. Think about it. Every game you want to do your best. You want to show. There's people watching. You want to get to that next level. You want to succeed. However, there's one thing that's holding you back from getting there, and it's anxiousness. It's that feeling of stress and that feeling of expectation and that worry before a game. And ultimately what this worry does is it causes you to underperform, it causes you to overthink, and worst of all, causes you to lose sleep. And when you get into this horrible state, it makes you question everything. It makes you question yourself when really you don't have to. You should never feel this way because you have full control over this. And in this video today, I'm actually going to give you the things that you can do before a game and that we do with our pro athletes to make sure they decrease their performance anxiety and get the results that they want so they can become the athlete they've always wanted to be. Hey, it's Matt Calderoni, co-founder of Molliteum, where we help athletes discover and reach their true potential by building their resilience. Since 2015, we've helped just over 5,300 athletes ranging from the youth to professional level in leagues like the NHL, NFL, NBA, and so many more, with athletes like Larry Marketing, Kyle Kuzma, DJ Reed, Dylan Cousins, and some other greats across their league. Now, the reason we started this company and YouTube channel is because I used to be an athlete, I suffered with this side of performance, and I want to make sure that you don't have to go through the same thing. So I suffered for you so you can win today. About a month ago, we had an NFL player who was referred to us who was really struggling with performance anxiety. And this individual was somebody who you never would think that he would. So I said, okay, walk me through it. Like, tell me about your week first before we even talk about game day. He goes, oh, Matt, my week is great, actually. He goes, I go into practice, I know what I need to do, I have my mobility I do first, then I do activation, then I do this, then I do this. But he was telling me all these great things, and he goes, my coaches agree, I train great, I train awesome, I'm performing really, really well in practices. He goes, it's the game days, though, that it all blows up. I said, tell me a little bit about your game days now. He goes, I kind of just go with things. And I kind of just, let things happen the way they need to. And if I'm feeling this, I do that. I don't want to take it too serious, All the same stories that most athletes come to us with when they're trying not to think too much, when really if they don't take control of their thinking, they're going to think too much. So I said, hey, here's the difference though. Notice something. In practices, you have a consistent system you're following. You do this, you do this, you do this, and you feel great. I said in game days though, you are going into one of the most pressure-filled environments in the sports world, which is the NFL, and you're trying to just let things happen. I said, that's never gonna work. You need a system. You need a pre-performance system if you want to decrease that anxiousness. So once I walked him through these things that we're gonna do with you here today, he was able to feel much better going into games because he had a system that allowed him to get locked in before a game and decrease that anxiety. So in this video right now, I'm gonna give you those three things, but I wanna say a quick disclaimer. First and foremost, action fixes anxiety. Action in anything. Anxiousness happens when you're not sure of yourself, or not sure of the future, I should say, and you stop taking action because of it. The one thing to fix this, you need to attack the things that you're scared of. So if you're scared of having that conversation with a coach, let's say, and that's what's making you anxious, you need to first take action on finding the skills on how to have that conversation, then action on having that conversation. But anxiousness usually comes back to that. So one thing I want to say is this will only work for you if you're training well. This athlete that we started working with was already training well. That made game days easy for us because he trusted his skills. He just needed to focus now before a game. So if you are not training well yet, I'm going to link a video here. Check that one out first. That way you can make sure you're training right and then come back to this video and learn what you can do before a game. Let's dive in. Now, the ideal state to be in before a game is one where you're calm, one where you're certain of yourself, and one where you're focused. So the first thing we did with this athlete, this NFL player, we had him box breathe. And the reason box breathing is so important is because box breathing is one of the best research-backed ways that athletes, Navy SEALs, high performers of all kinds use in order to get themselves calm before a game. So like you can see here on the screen what box breathing is, it's simply like creating a box with the type of breaths that you do. So you're gonna inhale for 4 seconds, hold at the top for 4 seconds, exhale for 4 seconds, and hold at the bottom for 4 seconds. And the reason that you do this is because when you go through this rhythm and when you go through this box breathing, it actually gets you to calm down in 2 ways. Number one, it changes your physiology. You're controlling your breath. Think about it for a second. When you get anxious, you're usually breathing a little heavier. You're going into that fight or flight mode. This brings that right down. Number two, though, it also takes control of your focus. So when it takes control of your focus, you're not focused anymore on everything that could go wrong. You're now instead focused on the things that you need to do. You're taking your mind away and you're focusing completely on something that doesn't worry about the game itself. This calms you right down. And when we started doing this with this NFL player, it helped him tremendously. So with you, what you want to do, you want to start by practicing 3 rounds of this box breathing, 3 total rounds. If you feel you still need to do more after, you can definitely do it, but a quick disclaimer, Make sure that you're not doing it too much where you get all lightheaded. And of course, like always, talk to a healthcare professional before you do any of this so that you can make sure you're doing it right and what's right for you. The next thing you want to do before a game, and what we had our NFL player do, was visualize. Now, the reason we have you visualizing, yes, it's to make sure that you can be certain before you go into a game. One of the best ways to build your certainty is to do what we call mental repetitions, or to visualize yourself on how you want to perform. But what this more importantly does for you is that it actually trains your focus to go on the things that you want to do instead of what could go wrong. If there's one common trait that I've noticed with the majority of athletes that we talk to who suffer with this pre-performance anxiety, they're focused on all the things that could go wrong. And the thing is, you're actually not at fault for this, because the way that your brain works, how it's naturally been primed and wired, is to make sure that it scans your environment to make sure that you're safe. One of the ways to scan your environment is that it looks for all the things that could go wrong. That's no state to be in when you're going into a high performance environment. Instead, you need to control where your mind goes. So what we had this individual do was take the 3 things that he's good at and visualize himself doing each of them 10 times perfectly in the game coming up. Now, I'm not going to dive too deep on visualization. We have many videos, and I'll link one here that you can go watch to learn how to properly do this. It actually comes with a free audio track as well that we use with our pro athletes, so check it out. But you must include this before a game so that you can control your focus now after you've controlled your breathing or your state. Finally, you need to talk to the people that you trust before a game. And here's the funny part. You ever hear that saying, you're a sum of the people that you hang around with, right? Meaning that the people you hang around with can make you feel a certain way. That's what we are as human beings. We adapt to the environment that we're in. So when I asked this individual, I said, so who are you talking to before the game? Like, tell me a little bit about what the pre-game conversations look like. He goes, oh, Matt, I talked to my uncle, I talked to my father, I talked to my brother, I talked to my mom, I talked to this person, that person, this. And I asked him this most important question after. I said, that's great. How many of these people though know football? He goes, And he goes, honestly? I said, honestly. He goes, probably the only person is my agent and my brother. I said, great. I said, so here's where everything goes wrong. I said, tell me something. Are there a couple people on that list that you could tell me who you talk to before a game who make you feel maybe not so good? He goes, oh, totally. And he starts listing out these people. I said, this is exactly why before a game, you need a tight circle of people that you talk to. Think about it for a sec. Any great athlete in the world, they don't let just anybody have their ear before a game. Before a game, you're locking in, and you want to be talking to people that support you, that know your sport, and most importantly, that will help you get focused on the right things. You don't need to be hearing about a problem that's happening at home right now. You don't need to be talking about what's going on or what happened in the week. You need to focus on the present. And the only people you should be speaking to before a game are people that A, know your sport, B, know your position, and C, have your best interest in mind so they can help guide you. You don't need somebody who's talking about negativity. So, what you need to do, like our NFL player, and what helped him tremendously with this as well, you need to get clear on the 1 to 2 people you can speak to before a game. And if you're sitting there saying, well, Matt, there's quite a few actually, there's more than 1 or 2, I'm going to challenge you. Narrow it down. The reason is because just a couple viewpoints are great. Too many cooks in the kitchen will always spoil the recipe. So just make sure when you're going into this, you're always speaking to the people before a game who know your sport, know what you're after, and most importantly, know your position so that they can help you get focused on the right things before a game. And there you have it. You now have the checklist that we use with athletes before a performance to decrease their performance anxiety. Now, again, another disclaimer I'll put at the end of this video. If you're not preparing well throughout the week, if you're not doing the right things throughout the week, this will not work for you. You need to do that first. We actually have an entire video on how to decrease performance anxiety as a whole that goes through the entire week first. If you can watch that, that would be best to make sure that you get all the right things in place, then come back to it. We'll link the video here. So if you got value from this video, please like, subscribe, click the notification bell. It will definitely help us grow this channel and will help us keep bringing you more free content. If you have something else that you do before a game, comment down below. We would love to hear it. Now, if you're an athlete who's serious about taking their game to the next level and you're serious about getting in control of your mind and never having these issues again going forwards, consider applying for our one-on-one coaching program. We only take on about 2 athletes a month. It isn't application-based. We see if that we can even help you to start, and then more importantly, if you're an athlete that we feel could really benefit from our program. It's a 12-week program to start. It's full of transformation where we start with making sure you get a resilience profile where we're able to customize an entire program. You get a program outline where we show you exactly what the 12 weeks would look like and the results that you want to get in that time. We then go through exactly what your training sessions would look like. You work with a Molliteum coach. You then also get access to our Molliteum Pocket Coach. You then also get 16-hour-a-day access to your coach outside of the sessions that you have. And finally, there's a portion for your parents where we also work with your parents so that we can make sure they're telling you the right things before a game. If that sounds like it's of interest to you, Apply below, see if it's a good fit, and we'll go from there. Until then, apply these 3 things before a game so you can decrease your performance anxiety. Check out that other video I spoke about so you can make sure you have the whole week's approach, and then apply this on the game days, and I promise you'll feel awesome. With that being said, stay resilient, and we'll see you in the next one. So if you like this clip and you want to watch another one, click right here. And if you want to watch the full podcast episode, click right here.